Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Make My Food Awesome. I'm Mark Allen France, your guide to good food.
And I'm Trisha Morrissey.
My sweetheart of science. You almost forgot your line, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I think she was dazing right now. She
I'm
was
daydreaming
thinking
about a
the
certain
summer.
vegetable.
Cucumbers.
No.
Well, we have lots of cucumbers.
Green beans is what I was thinking.
Oh, green beans. I guess that leads into the fact that that's what we're going to be talking about today a little bit, because we're going to be doing something special with our green beans.
Yes, we're going to be canning them today.
Canning them. Yes. You know, I'm going to say this before we get into all the fun stuff. When I was a wee young lad 10 years ago, I was not the biggest fan of green beans. It was one of those vegetables that got put on our plate when I was little, and you just wanted to hide it under a napkin, maybe slip it down to the dog, flip it over into your brother's plate. Do whatever you could because you didn't want to eat them. But, a lot of kids don't like veggies, but there's great ways that you can actually get them to eat veggies. And I know a couple kids who actually love eating your beans, and one of them will eat an entire can or an entire jar of yellow beans on her own.
Or green beans too. Yellow or her
it's
favorite.
the yellow ones that she likes the most. Mm-hmm. And we can open up a quart jar. People have maybe a spoonful out of it. Nope, Emma has to eat the rest of it.
In the middle of the meal, she'll ask, who wants more beans? And then we take our serving, and then what's left over, she finishes. So that's like commonplace at our table.
And she doesn't put it on her plate. She just takes the whole bowl and eats out of the bowl.
Well, she does use a fork. She does have some.
Well, I didn't say she used her hands, but that would be interesting. But anyway, so you probably have some stuff you want to tell us about green beans.
Yeah.
Or yellow beans.
Right, either or. So basically, we've been talking about My Plate and how about 25% of your plate should be filled with multiple color vegetables out of one of the categories. So basically, for My Plate, one serving size of a vegetable would be 1 cup of cooked or uncooked or raw green beans. And with that, you get about 45 calories, 10 grams of carbs, 33 micrograms of folate, which is a form of vitamin B, which is really important for neurological development with women who are expecting for the baby's development.
What are they expecting?
A baby.
Oh, okay. I got you now. Just took me a moment there.
And they also have vitamin C. And vitamin C is a type of antioxidant. We've talked about why antioxidants are so important. And vitamin C helps boost your immune system. It's also necessary for the production of collagen in your hair, skin, and nails and tissues of the eye. Now, if you cook your beans, you lose your vitamin A. It gets cooked out of it. Or say you freeze your beans and you thaw them, you can lose the vitamin A factor out of that. So if you want to get an extra boost of vitamin A, then you want to eat your beans raw. But anyways, that's some facts about beans.
Did you used to go out to the garden and pick beans right there and just eat them in the garden?
Yeah, I did that with most everything. I wiped the dirt off of them, or
I
I would go wash them in
I didn't dip it in mud.
A spigot outside. But no, I eat them raw. I eat them cooked, steamed, canned, frozen, any which way, I guess.
Now, I know a lot of the beans that we are going to be canning with came from either here, which was mostly yellow beans, or over at my folks. My dad gave us...
Or my mom's garden.
And you got some... Yeah, that's right. You got some beans from your mom. So,
right.
So I lied. There's 3 of us. 3 different places.
And we have a mixture of green and yellow beans, or they're also called wax beans. So we're going to be canning both. So check it out.
Yep. So what we're going to do, show you how it's done. Trisha's taking the reins on this because she loves canning the green beans and the yellow beans. So I'll help her snap some of them, maybe.
Maybe.
It's time to wash your beans that we picked from the garden. You want to fill your sink with nice cold water and move them around to remove any soil or blossom parts that might be left on the beans. You also want to carefully select the good ones and get rid of the ones that are not so good. Now that they're all rinsed, it's time to put them on a clean towel and we need to start sorting and snapping the beans for the canning process. I'm going to start with green beans, and I'm going to be carefully removing the tops and the bottom of each bean and any strings along the length of the bean that's too tough. I want to then snap the beans into about 1-inch pieces so they'll fit inside our jars for the canning process. I'm going to continue sorting through all of the beans to make sure that the green and the yellow are prepared for canning. And I set aside some small green beans for later. This is going to take you some time to do, and if you have a partner or several people to help you out, it will make the snapping process go a little bit quicker. Now it's time to fill my sanitation pan about 3/4 of the way with water. And I want to turn on my burner and get that boiling. On my back burner, you can see my small pan is already going for the lids. Next, I'm going to fill my pot that I'm going to bring water to a boil, and that water is going to be used to go into each of our jars to help process our beans. And you want to get that water boiling as well. Now it's time to sanitize our quart and pint jars for the beans. You want to rotate your jar to make sure all the inside walls are sanitized properly. And then drain the water out and put it on your filling station. Place my funnel in, and now I'm going to be putting the beans inside each jar. You want to make sure that you fill it to the top, and you kind of pat them down to make sure that they fill in the spaces inside. For quarts, you're going to want to add 1 teaspoon of canning salt, and for pints, 1/2 teaspoon. Now I'm going to put my funnel on, and I'm going to begin filling my jar with boiling water. It takes about 5 ladles to fill 1 quart and about 3 for a pint. As you get to the top of your jar, make sure you leave about 1-inch headspace. Now I'm going to use my bubble popper, push it down along the sides of the wall, and hopefully remove any air bubbles that were trapped in the jar. Now it's time to wipe the rim of the jar. We're going to place our hot lid on top, and with that we're going to add our ring, and we're going to tighten it as tight as we can and set it aside for processing. Now it's time to use a quart jar to add about 1 quart of water. You want to make sure that the water covers the bottom of the grid in your canner. Next, we're going to add our jars. This is a large canner, so you can have about 5 quarts. If you're doing all pints, you could make 2 layers of 4 to fill your canner. Making sure that none of your jars are actually touching. Now it's time to put the lid on to ensure that it's sealed. I'm going to turn up the burner now. And you're going to choose 10 pounds of pressure on your ticker to process your beans. Once your ticker begins to tick, you're going to want to adjust your heat and set your timer for 25 minutes. You don't want your ticker to be ticking a solid 25 minutes. You want it to be in a pattern of ticking and non-ticking. Quarts are going to process 25 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure, and pints will process for 20 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. You're going to let your canner sit for about 20 minutes to cool before you try to remove the ticker. To test this, you can use the edge of a fork, and if no steam is coming out the top, you know that the canister is cool enough for you to open it. When you're removing the lid, know that the lid is hot, so be careful not to burn yourself. Now it's time to remove our quarts. I'm choosing to place my quarts on a cooling rack. This allows the air to move around the entire quart to cool it down in hopes that it will seal. You'll know that your jars have sealed once they have a popping sound. You can also place your finger on the top of the lid to feel if it's been sealed or not. And that's the process of canning beans.
honey, that was a pretty simple canning lesson.
Yeah, beans I think are the easiest to do out of all the canning.
One of them, most definitely. And I learned a lot because I have never used personally a pressure cooker except the pressure cooker setting on my Instapot.
Right. So they're a little different. They operate
Yes.
a little differently.
Yes. So, yeah, I did learn a lot. And I'm thinking that maybe we should make a nice little dish
Yeah.
and try it out, and you guys can have the recipe, no problem at all.
Right. And if you don't want to make the dish that we're making today, you can simply warm your beans through, add a little bit of cracked pepper and maybe some plant-based butter, and you're good to go at your mealtime.
And you can do that in the microwave or stovetop, whichever one you want
Yep,
to do.
whatever suits your needs.
And what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the beans that we made last year so that we can allow the ones that we just made today, allow them a little bit of time to, now that they're freshly canned, incorporate some of the flavors around in there.
Right. And today's recipe that we're going to make is based on a 2-cup serving. So it could be split between 2 people, which is what we're going to do. Or it could be 2 servings of the vegetable for 1 person on my plate.
Exactly. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to head back to the stove, get back on the oven, and I've got the handy dandy little GoPro, and there we go, honey.
All right, let's get cooking.
Let's get back in here. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the pan heated up. So we're going to start up our pan.
And I'm putting it on medium high. And I'm going to add about 2 ounces of no salt vegetable stock.
Now, I use a lot of vegetable stock when I'm making gravies, which is very, very delicious and yummy. I'll put a little bit of flour in there. I'll make start out making a roux, and then a little bit of red wine. We're not going to do the red wine today, but...
No, and next I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of chopped white onion and 1 cup of sliced mushrooms. And I'm going to mix those around in the broth, and I'm going to cook them down until the onions are translucent and the mushrooms have shrank a little bit.
I love my onions. I love my mushrooms. And they're great paired up with the green beans.
Yes, I'm also going to put some cracked black pepper over my mushrooms and onion mixture to add some flavor. And I'm going to sprinkle some garlic powder on it as well.
You can use fresh garlic if you'd like. You can throw it in the pan when you're sauteing the onions and everything like that. But we're just for today, we're just going to use some of the powder for it. I can hear it sizzling.
Yes, and I'm beginning to smell all of the flavors. So about how long would you say we're going to cook these down for, Mark?
I'd probably give it about a good 4 or 5 minutes will get us through. And just for our sake, since we're here, we're going to do a little bit of magic and speed up the process a little bit. Oh, it smells good, honey.
Yes, it's coming together nicely.
And you guys can add in whatever, if you want to, like oregano. If you want to put some oregano in there, you can put in some dried basil. But you guys can add in whatever spices you want to it. Make it yours, like we always say. Those onions are getting nice and translucent, and look at those mushrooms as they start to soften up.
Now we're going to add in our 2 cups of beans at the end just to warm them through.
And it looks delicious. And you don't want to add in any more salt on this because there is enough salt from the beans that you should be sufficed with that.
I'm going to add a little bit more of black cracked pepper.
I'm good with black pepper. You can put as much on there as you want, honey.
I know.
And you could add a little bit of vegan butter on here if you wanted to. That would be absolutely fine, just not too much.
Yep, we're trying to keep our oils down to a minimum. Less calories that way. All right, it's done.
Oh my gosh, look at how delicious that looks, honey.
Oh,
That
very,
is
very
so
delicious.
yummy. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yes. All right, are we ready to serve ourselves up a serving?
Well, I think we can. Look at that.
So
Oh
we're
my
gonna
gosh.
half it. Again, this is about 2-cup serving on my plate.
Let me go ahead and put some on there for you. And it's got, and that actually, the vegetable broth that we put on there has reduced down a bit. So it's almost like a nice little gravy. And like I said before, you could add, if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of a roux in there and make a gravy out of that. So there's your serving.
I'll switcheroo.
Okay. And then I'll get my serving out here. Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Yes, I can't wait to try it. And this is quick enough that probably I would say within 10 minutes this would be done.
Yes.
If you need to make something to go with your dinner, with your busy schedule.
Here we go. I'll actually put this back on the stove.
All
All right.
Your fork.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Me as well. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Got to make sure I get everything on there. Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Wow.
Quick and easy side to make with your dinner. Very tasty.
And you've got enough pepper on there, so it has a good peppery taste for it.
Yep, and we didn't use any oils. The flavor came from our spices and our no salt veggie stock, and it's very flavorful.
And using that stock was a good idea, but just because, I mean, it does put a lot of flavor in there.
Without the calories or fats. Because fats and oils are a very small portion of my plate.
So these are very, very delicious. And I don't know, would you think Emma would like a plate like this, or would she just prefer just the straight up beans?
I think just straight up beans. I mean, pepper and probably some plant-based butter is all she would
That's all
she'd
she
be
needs.
happy with. Well, honey, I think we made a very successful recipe.
Wow, is your mouth watering so much you can't talk?
Yeah, I was tripped up by the beans, but yeah, I think we did a good job on that.
We did. So, and if you guys are new here and you enjoy this video, please pop down, hit that subscribe button, click on the little bell, and get all of our notifications. Share with your friends and family. Become a member of Team
We
Awesome.
would love to have you.
And we recently hit 300 subscribers.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for everyone who has subscribed. We truly appreciate it. We love having you guys along for this amazing journey. And if you have any more ideas that you'd like for us to, cook up on the show, go ahead, post them in the comments. Or you can go over to www.makemyfoodawesome.com, sign up for our newsletter, send us an email or a message, and we'll go ahead and we'll get working on some of those ideas.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you, and we would love you to be part of Team Awesome.
Exactly. And that's the big thing. Team Awesome, good food, awesome, delicious, tasty morsels.
Yes.
Something like that. So, thanks guys for coming out and joining us, and we'll see you again here on Make My Food Awesome. You guys have a great day, and we will see you guys very, very soon.
Bye.
See you guys.